Marrying an old man like you was a mistake. I wanted to marry a young, rich man like him. The two of you can just get along as you like." With that, my wife, Linda, left with him hauling theory Mars, and her lover's wife and me are alone in the room. I guess to my wife, I'm just an old man, being 12 years older than her. Feeling down, I caught sight of my wife's lover's wife. She looked familiar. As I was looking at her, she turned to me and gave me a beautiful smile. "Long time no see. My name is George Sullivan. At 36, I worked 3 shifts at a factory. After graduating from college, I started working at this factory and focused on getting as many certificates as I could, such as a forklift license and a boiler technician qualification. I've been all about work until now, but before I knew it, I was already 36. At this age, the 3-shift work that used to be okay is starting to take its toll on my body. From my 40s and 50s seniors, I get encouraged like, "George, you're the best worker among the younger guys. Keep up the good work." And from my peers, I started getting advice like, "Why don't you get married and find a wife who'll support you?" Exactly. You should get married and then consider switching jobs to prioritize your family. Indeed, I don't have any encounters at work, and because of the night shifts, I spend most of my time at home sleeping. And since junior high, I've never even had a crush. Am I going to be single for the rest of my life? Feeling anxious, I decided to join a matchmaking agency. And a month after joining the matchmaking agency, I met a woman who was 12 years younger than me and started dating. Her name is Linda. She's 24 and works as an esthetician. Linda looks so young and beautiful that she wouldn't be out of place in a high school. After meeting her, I had more chances to look at myself with rough skin. I guess I'm really an old man. I began to feel seriously disgusted with my aging that I had been vaguely aware of. I lose confidence in myself and start self-loathing. In contrast to me, Linda always behaved very brightly. "Hey, when can we meet next? Where do you want to go? I'll think about where to go." She energetically led me, who was being overly self-conscious about my age and looks. "I'll contact you the next time we can meet. Let me think about the date spot too." To meet her expectations and efforts, I tried my best to be cheerful in front of her, without thinking about myself. Working 3 shifts, I made time to meet her in the limited free time I had during the day. And we decided to leave the matchmaking agency as a married couple 6 months after meeting. After we left the matchmaking agency, we had a meeting with both families, prepared for the wedding, and planned our honeymoon. Furthermore, we decided on a new home to start our life together. Before I knew it, the busy days were over, and my married life with Linda began. Our marriage life started immediately. It was finally time for my wife to voice her pent-up complaints. As if she'd been waiting to do so, she started expressing her dissatisfaction with me. "You're always working night shifts and sleeping all day. We can't even go shopping together. We never have a conversation. It's audacious of you to expect me to understand everything without you saying anything." Every time she looked at my face, she would spew such grievances. To make matters worse, I caught my wife complaining about me on the phone with her friends. "He's 12 years older. He's definitely an old man. He even smells. I should have married someone younger." I tried my best to deflect my wife's complaints, but my already fading self-confidence was further eroded. I knew it. Linda and I are mismatched. Linda deserves a younger, more attractive man. Then why did Linda marry me? I would ponder such things after finishing my night shift, my mind hazy with fatigue. And then, when I stopped by the convenience store to buy an energy drink, I ran into my wife with a young man. "Linda, who is this? Are you having an affair?" I looked at Linda and the man next to her with a puzzled face. The man she was with wouldn't even meet my gaze. Then, Linda said, "He's my cousin. We've always been close. Don't accuse me of cheating just like that." And she grabbed the man's arm and left the convenience store. I had been to my wife's family home several times after marriage and had attended family gatherings. But most of them were uncles and aunts in their 60s. It would have been noticeable if there was someone that young. If she says he's her cousin, then I'll find out if that's true, I muttered to myself as I left the convenience store and headed straight to a private detective agency. And with the detective's investigation report, my wife's infidelity was confirmed. The man my wife was cheating with was a 29-year-old man with an unspecified occupation. What do you mean by unspecified occupation? The first question I asked the detective was about the man's job. Actually, he claims to be a marriage consultant, but he has no registered profession, no company registered, nothing. Saying this, the detective showed me a photo of the man distributing flyers in front of the train station. A marriage seminar. He's jobless, and he's doing something like that in front of the station. I was utterly appalled at the sight of the photo. Soon, a divorce meeting through a lawyer was arranged. But my wife's decision was already made. I wanted to be happy with someone young and rich like him. I don't need an old fart like you. My wife said this and readily agreed to divorce me. This man, Tom, whom my wife cheated with, had a wife who was same age as me. "I don't need such an old hag," he said, easily discarding his own wife. "He's a famous marriage consultant. He's in the spotlight on TV and in magazines. You two might as well get along." With that, my wife demeaned us while boasting about themselves, laughing as she left arm in arm with her lover. I wish they would just go to hell. As I muttered my resentful sentiments, I noticed the downtrodden wife of the cheating man sitting with her head bowed. She seems oddly familiar. As I stared in puzzlement, she suddenly looked up and gave me a helpless smile. "Are you, Lisa?" When I expressed my surprise, she laughed wryly and said, "Oh, you just noticed now." She was my first love from middle school, whom I had been hopelessly infatuated with. Never would I have expected to meet her in a place like this. Without a moment's hesitation, I invited Lisa to dinner right then and there. Why did Lisa, the belle of the class, end up marrying a guy like that? Oh, don't say it like that. In the beginning, he was so kind, gentlemanly, and wonderful. Lisa smiled with her usual sophisticated grace. "But he cheated on you. He's the worst." As I confronted her with a grave look on my face, she started to share her story. "I used to be popular among many boys during my school days, but once I became a working adult, opportunities to meet men or being courted suddenly disappeared." Her eyes started to well up with tears. "Furthermore, my father passed away from cancer right after I graduated from college. My mother fell into depression because of that, and I had to work hard to take care of her. I was the only one who could support my mom," she said, trying to hold back her tears while forcing a smile. "I was so busy with work and taking care of home that I didn't have time to consider marriage. I felt pathetic as I passed my prime marriageable years, so I ended up meeting my husband at a marriage seminar out of desperation." "Really?" I said, shocked and speechless. She showed me a cutout article from a magazine. The article was about the man, my ex-wife's affair partner. Hot scoop. Famous actress finds love with dating coach, Tom. As I curiously browsed the article, she spoke. "He calls himself a dating coach, but in reality, he's unemployed and holds these relationship seminars. Recently, a famous actress attended one of his talks, and he's garnered some attention because of it." So, that guy was actually jobless. My eyes widened in surprise, and she chuckled. "Yes, jobless and making no money from his seminars, but he was always kind and attentive to me. He'd have carried away with his temporary fame and messed up everything. Her smile had a touch of loneliness. Seeing her like this made me feel a pang of pain in my heart. "I'll listen to anything you have to say. Please, don't hold back anymore," I said, surprising her with my passionate outburst. She smiled and said, "Then, I have one favor to ask. Would you date me if you're okay with it? And of course, with marriage in view in the future." Yes. I was overjoyed by the unexpected confession from my first love. "Absolutely. I've liked you since middle school, Lisa." I started crying in the restaurant where we were having dinner, not minding the people around us. "Stop it, it's embarrassing," Lisa chuckled. Soon after our respective divorces, Lisa and I began dating. We would go to amusement parks or zoos on our days off, and we'd hold hands and chat on our way home. "I've actually had a crush on you, George, since middle school. Of course, I knew you liked me too," she confessed. "I would have been thrilled to date you if you had told me that," I replied, laughing awkwardly. "But it's so embarrassing, especially with everyone watching at school," Lisa said bashfully. Then looking up, she said with a bright smile, "But now, my long-held wish has come true, and nothing could be better. That's killing me," I replied, blushing and unable to meet her eyes. "Being with Lisa makes me feel pure, like I'm back in school and falling in love for the first time. I don't worry about my age or looks. Her smile alone fills my heart." In the bliss of this new romance, I found myself forgetting about my ex-wife entirely. It's been 2 years since I started dating Lisa. I proposed to her, and now we are planning our wedding while living together in the same apartment. I'm glad I can still see the kind man you were when we first started dating, even after moving in together. I'm so happy I'm going to marry you, George." With a smile, she said those words, and I held her close, whispering in her ear, "You don't need to think about that guy anymore." Just at that moment, my cell phone rang. It was my ex-wife. What does she want now? Should have blocked her number, I mumbled, picking up the call as Lisa looked at me, worried. "Can I borrow me some money? Just a little bit." She didn't even say hello, just begging for money. I sighed at my ex-wife's audacity and asked, "Just a little or how much?" $10,000. "No, $5,000. You call that a little?" I was half exasperated, half angry when she started crying all of a sudden. "My husband lost his job. We can't afford to live, can't even pay the rent. Debt collectors are coming today." In a somewhat spiteful tone, I retorted. No way a famous dating coach who helped a famous actress get married could suddenly lose all his income, right? She stuttered, struggling to respond, and I continued. "Well, it's been years since he was famous. Now he's just a well-known con artist, your dear husband." Upon hearing this, she suddenly panicked. "What do you know about my husband?" "Yeah, I've seen it in the news. Selling off-the-shelf perfumes and bracelets for thousands of dollars. I saw in a tabloid that the victims are suing him." "That's right. That unemployed guy, who claimed to be a famous dating coach, got a bit too carried away with his newfound fame. He was trying to sell cheap perfumes and bracelets worth a few dozen dollars for thousands of dollars. Obviously, his victims filed a lawsuit, and now reporters are swarming his house every day. And because of this, his affair with Linda, which led to their meeting, was revealed to the world. When a dating coach destroys a family through an affair, it's bound to plummet his popularity. That guy, who used to be famous just by the name of Tom, is now being reported by his real name. His real name and his wrongdoing are spread all over the country, and now everyone knows him as a famous con artist. If he had steadily held his seminars, he might have genuinely become a well-known dating coach. But now, it's all too late. Best of luck with your famous con artist. I'm marrying Lisa, so don't ever call me again." Just as I was about to hang up, she blurted out in a flabbergasted tone, "What? You're marrying her? Are you joking? Lisa is my first love, and she's a genuine dating consultant. Why don't you look her up?" Upon my suggestion, she promptly started searching for Lisa on her smartphone. No way, she's the owner of a matchmaking service. She even supports the operation of other matchmaking services. What is this? A top-tier dating counselor? Seeing my ex-wife flustered, Lisa signaled me to pass her the phone. Dating consulting is a legitimate job. I hope you'll continue to support your jobless husband who has been lying about his profession. My ex-wife had nothing to say to Lisa's words. She remained silent and hung up the phone. Not long after, I had a beautiful wedding ceremony with Lisa, and we have been leading a blissful married life ever since. Hope you enjoyed the story. Subscribe the channel and it will give me motivation to create more content. See you in the next video. I met her about a year ago. At that time, the restaurant that I had inherited from my father was losing customers and was at risk of closing down. The restaurant was located in a town adjacent to a fairly well-known tourist attraction, akin to something like Napa Valley. Tourists used to flood into our town, making it a bustling place. However, a few years ago, the town's train station became a mere stop for the express train, resulting in fewer tourists stopping. In order to clear my head, I decided to refresh myself by spending a night at a hotel with hot springs in the neighboring town of Sonoma, a place that also held connections to my father. "Mr. Jones, my name is Catherine, the young proprietress here. I'll bring your dinner, with drinks and appetizers shortly, but the main dish may take a bit longer. I hope you understand." "Is there a problem?" "Actually, one of our kitchen staff fell ill unexpectedly. And so, well, if it's an emergency, there's nothing we can do. I apologize for the inconvenience." "Is the staff member okay?" "Yes, our head chef. Well, he is conscious, just, due to his age, we had to." "I see. Take care of him." The person who fell ill, as Catherine, the young proprietress, had unintentionally mentioned, was the head chef. The reason I have chosen to stay at this hotel was because I wanted to taste that head chef's dishes. My late father and this head chef were both apprentices at the same fine dining restaurant. I had heard from my father that they often had disagreements about the taste of the dishes. Eventually, the two had a falling out. My father opened his own restaurant, while the other became the head chef at this hotel. I also often argued with my father about the dishes we served in our restaurant. But now, as I approached 40, I understood clearly. Chefs argue and confront each other because they recognize each other's skills. The stubbornness and pride of a chef can lead to such conflicts. I came to this hotel hoping to gain some insights for revitalizing my own restaurant. However, it seems like tasting the dishes of the head chef I was looking forward to was not available. I hope my old man isn't interfering because he doesn't like the idea of me using this place as a reference. Well, even though they had a falling out, my father wouldn't meddle from beyond the grave with the chef. "I apologize for the inconvenience. We will reduce your accommodation fee by 10% as a slight compensation." A 10% discount? You kidding me? The next morning, when I went to the front desk to check out, Catherine was being bombarded by complaints from other guests. It was undoubtedly because of last night's dinner. "Cut it out, will you? What's your problem? You ate all your dinner, right?" "I ate it." "Then, it's all good." I glared at the guest. The guest seemed a bit taken aback and started whining. I ate it, but it was so late that my entire schedule got messed up. Were you planning to go somewhere nice? It's none of your business. It was an emergency. Understand that. But, get it. Seeing me get stern, the complainer seemed to have given up. Feeling a bit smug, I gave a snort and a smirk at Catherine, who was bowing her head in thanks. In the end, I returned home without finding even a hint to revamp my restaurant. I had no choice but to continue my modest business, catering to a few regular customers. One day, a seemingly 70-year-old man walked into our restaurant. It seems not really much of a drinker, as he slowly savored the warm bourbon while enjoying 2 or 3 dishes. Occasionally, he would nod approvingly and murmur, that's good." When I served him the grilled chicken and soup he ordered as his last course, he seemed to enjoy the chicken but tilted his head curiously at the soup. "Is it not to your liking?" I couldn't help but ask. He then inquired if the soup was made with the same recipe I'd inherited from my father. "Well, yes, it is," I responded. While I was growing concerned about a potential problem with the flavor, the man introduced himself. I apologize for the abruptness. "I'm Richard Taylor." Richard Taylor. I was confused, not recognizing the name or the face in front of me. "I used to share meals with your father back in the day. It's me, Richard," he clarified. I finally realized who he was. He was the head chef of the spa resort I stayed at, who had fallen ill abruptly. He was my father's former fellow apprentice, from whom he had parted on bad terms. "I am deeply sorry for my sudden illness when you visited us," he apologized. "How's your health now?" "I'm fine now, as you can see," Richard responded, blushing a bit as he ran his hand through his trimmed hair. "Did you come by chance? I heard it from the young proprietress, you know." She had told him about the man who had placated a disgruntled customer the morning after the head chef had collapsed. Young proprietress checked the guest book and informed Richard that it was a certain Noah Jones. "Ah, so you're the son of that Jones, and so, tonight, he had come all this way to thank me." That reminded me that my father and Richard had parted ways over their differing cooking styles. When I asked Richard about it, he replied, "That is true, but we respected each other's skills as chefs. It was just a matter of different directions. My father always aimed to complement alcohol, so he pursued flavors that matched well with drinks. Richard, on the other hand, not being a big drinker himself, sought after flavors that appealed to everyone. That's why we went our separate ways. Though my father and Richard rarely met, they stayed in touch," he said. "You know, I briefly met you at your father's funeral," Richard added. "Oh, I see. My apologies for not remembering," I replied. "It's been 5 years already. Yes, time flies." As I responded, Richard looked off into the distance. I was curious about Richard's reaction when he tasted the soup earlier. "About the soup?" "Oh, it was delicious, but it felt different from your father's flavor." So, I remade the soup and offered it to Richard. After he took a sip, he said, "It feels similar, but does it lack something? Well, how should I put it? It's a more refined taste." "Richard, weren't you usually serve my father's soup after a heavy night of drinking?" "Yes, that's right. Back in our apprentice dormitory, your father and I used to drink together a lot. I'm not a heavy drinker, so I would get drunk quite quickly. Then, your father would say, 'Here, have this as the last drink.' It was so delicious. Even when I tried to recreate it by brewing the broth in my way, I couldn't. I asked your father if there was a secret ingredient, and he would say, 'The secret ingredient is love,' keeping it a mystery." The secret was quite simple. My father's dishes were generally strong and flavorful to pair well with alcohol. However, he made his final course soup light. The method was straightforward and nothing special. Simply, he added 1 cup of hot water to 3 cups of regular soup stock to dilute it. After heavy drinking, that was just right and healthy, according to my father's philosophy. I see, after you had a fair bit to drink, saying the secret ingredient is love wasn't entirely off, was it? Richard took a sip of the soup I'd made from scratch, thinned with hot water. It seems I haven't had enough to drink tonight. Is it, perhaps, a bit bland for your taste? Yes. Richard and I burst out laughing. Then we spent some time reminiscing about my old man. Towards the end, Richard got serious. Sorry to ask, but did you lose customers after the termination of the express train stops at the station? Well, yeah, I guess so. Has it affected your business? It's been barely making ends meet recently. Why don't you come work with me after I retire? After you, Richard. You mean at your hotel? Richard explained that he's getting old and thinking about retiring soon. The staff he currently has are excellent chefs, but something is missing, it seems. Everyone's too obedient. They lack the spirit. We don't have anyone with the backbone your father had. I wonder if you'd be a good fit. I wasn't sure if I had as much spirit as my old man did. Plus, it wouldn't be fair to the sheiks who've been there from the start if I just walked in. I'm honored by your offer, but I can't give up on this place. It's my dad's legacy. I'm not ready to let go yet. When I said this, Richard seemed to understand and nodded several times. You're right. I was too hasty. After all, you're the son of that great man. And then, leaving me an invitation to visit his kitchen if I ever change my mind, he left a complimentary voucher for his hotel before departing. About 3 months had passed since Richard started visiting my diner. My business was on the verge of collapse. Maybe I should go and check out Richard's hotel. I wasn't ready to close the doors on my diner just yet, but I knew I needed to do something if I wanted to move forward. Mr. Jones, we've been expecting you. Did I arrive a bit too early? Aiming for a time before the chefs would get busy with dinner preparations, I'd arrived at the hotel a bit early. I'll call the head chef for you. He should be free at this time. That's why you came early, right? She knew my intentions. As I was apologizing to her, she just smiled and said the head chef was also eagerly waiting for me. Hey, everyone, listen up. This is Noah Jones, the man I've been telling you about. As soon as he guided me to the kitchen, Richard introduced me to the other chefs. Everyone bowed their heads and said, "Nice to meet you." Richard, I'm still not. I understand. It just happens that some of our experienced staff decided to go independent recently. Look, they are all young, aren't they? So I told them that a friend of mine might be able to lend a hand. That's you. Richard said that, but I felt a little uncomfortable. After all, I hadn't given up on my dad's diner. That night, after a dip in the hot springs and returning to my room, the hotel's maid had set up my dinner. When asked what I'd like to drink, I ordered a glass of bourbon. Shortly thereafter, the bourbon was brought in. The one who brought it was the young proprietress, named Catherine. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for having me. Please, have a drink. Thank you. I'm honored to have the young proprietress me. Please, feel free to indulge tonight, she suggested. She was quite persuasive. And by the time I was fairly inebriated, Richard arrived. "How about this as a second helping from your dad? A nice bowl of soup to finish off," he offered. I felt the strong urge from Catherine and Richard to become a cook at their hotel. But I couldn't bring myself to close the restaurant my father had left me. That night, I was alone in my bed and I couldn't fall asleep. "What part of this dish do you not like? It's old-fashioned. The food Dad cook. It doesn't matter what you said. We're serving this to customers." I remember arguing with my father about cooking. Those memories faded in and out in my drunken head. My restaurant was quiet for the days that followed. Until one day, an unexpected customer arrived. It was Catherine. "Oh, you startled me. I just decided to come." "Did Richard suggest you come here?" "Yes, partly, but I also wanted to come," she replied. "Just a moment, please," I said to Catherine and pulled in the shop curtain that was hanging outside. "Sorry, but we're closed for today." "Because of me?" Catherine asked, looking a bit apologetic. "Since you're already here, and it's not like we're busy." I gestured around the empty restaurant with a resigned laugh. "So things are really tough, huh?" "I'm ashamed to admit it," I confessed. "I heard rumors about a major blow to the next town ever since the express train started passing through," she mentioned. "Anyway, let's forget about these depressing talks. Let's enjoy ourselves." Catherine was quite a drinker. She was the only daughter in her family that had been running a spa resort in the area for generations. Naturally, she became the young proprietress. She had learned to drink since she took over the role. I start working early in the morning, and I find myself looking forward to a drink after a long day. I'm the same, but in my case, I think I just inherited my father's love for alcohol, I replied. Just a few months earlier, Catherine and I had met only once or twice, but we were now talking like old friends. "Come on, let's have another round." "Another one?" I asked, surprised. "Yes, just one more." But my heart is already full. "Dad, I'm sorry, I can't keep running this restaurant anymore." 6 months later, I closed the restaurant that my father had left me and took a job as the deputy chef at the spa resort where Catherine and Richard were. Thanks to Richard's efforts, the existing chefs warmly accepted me. When I was appointed as deputy chef, the young proprietress Catherine had proposed a condition. "Please live here in this resort and join us for a drink after work." This was exactly what I wished for. I had no reason to refuse. "Noah, come on over here, let's have a drink." "Again tonight? Why not? Let's do it." When I entered the room where she was waiting, I saw Catherine happily pouring whiskey. "Here, have a glass." I responded with a nod and took the shot glass in my hand. And as Catherine poured for me, I thought to myself, I'm about to turn 40. It's not that I haven't had girlfriends in the past, but I've stayed single up to this age. My late parents were late to marry, and when my dad was 40, I was born. Now, as I'm about to turn the same age as my dad was when I was born, I'm here, every night, getting whiskey poured for me by Catherine. Maybe this is what they call fate. "What do you mean?" In response to Catherine's question, I said this. "Will you accompany me for a nightcap for the rest of our lives? For the rest of our lives." After a moment, Catherine smiled broadly and nodded vigorously. Catherine and I gazed at each other. It was a moment when our feelings connected. Thus, Catherine and I got married, with Richard, who retired, serving as a matchmaker. Working together, we strive to manage the hotel. How was it? Subscribing to the channel would be a great motivation for us to continue making content. See you in the next video. Please, let's keep this between us. I don't want this getting out of the office. Then, in return, I have a favor to ask. I only had one wish. I am Michael Johnson, a 48-year-old single office worker. Currently, I work as an assistant manager in a publicly listed advertising company. Having spent my previous years caring for my father, who suffered from a serious illness and passed away last year, I hadn't had any romantic involvement until now. But then again, romance is probably out of reach for a lame guy like me. At work, a female coworker named Amanda has been keeping distance from me. Michael, here's the material for the next meeting. Thank you. Even when handing over documents, she avoids making eye contact. Her manners are impeccable, but I could feel that she disliked me. The male coworker who sat next to me, named John, noticed our interaction and said, "Amanda is such a beautiful woman, but she's rather cold, huh? It can't be helped. From her perspective, it's natural to despise an old man who's been kicked off the fast track to promotion." Yes, Amanda, with her rapid promotions, had also become an assistant manager at the young age of 32. Not only was Amanda a career woman, but she was also actively involved in all the company events. Under the previous CEO's policy, there were frequent drinking parties and golf tournaments. I wanted to join as much as possible, but whenever these plans came up, I had difficulty coordinating with the home care nurse, so I couldn't participate as I wanted to. The previous CEO frowned upon my behavior. "Michael, you're not sociable, but Amanda, in comparison, she's amazing. Her dedicated attitude really was admirable." Indeed, the previous CEO disliked me, and I was stuck in my assistant manager role, off the fast track to promotion. Some of my peers even became directors. How embarrassing. Returning home feeling miserable, more despair awaited me. Oh, this place is really a mess. My father, who used to manage apartment buildings, was financially well off and left me a large house. However, since it was an old house, unused furniture and appliances were lying around, turning the house into a haunting mess. I'm not good at housework and let it get dirty to this extent. I really need to do something about this. After searching online for a solution, I stumbled upon a home service website. The site promised that, for a fee, a home helper would visit my house and handle tasks like cleaning and cooking. This seemed perfect for someone like me, who struggles with housework. I immediately called the company and arranged for a helper to visit my house this Saturday. As promised, my doorbell rang on Saturday. Finally, I can say goodbye to my messy room. I opened the door, only to freeze in shock. Standing before me was none other than Amanda. "Is that you, Amanda?" I thought it might just be a coincidence of the same names, but I never thought it would be you. Amanda looked just as shocked as I was, her eyes wide behind her glasses. Usually, she would be dressed in a sharp suit, fully made up, but today she wore a frilly apron and even her glasses. Her minimal makeup gave her a young and cute impression, creating a stark contrast with her usual appearance, causing my heart to race. Amanda in glasses looks really good. Oblivious to my inner turmoil, Amanda was sweating nervously. "Please, let me in. I don't want anyone to see me." "Oh, right, please come in." That's when I understood why she was so flustered. Side jobs were prohibited at our company. "Well, would you like some tea in the meantime?" "Thank you." But I must say, I'm surprised. Who would have thought you were working a home service job? There's actually a reason. Amanda began to explain her situation after setting her teacup on the table. "I come from a single mother family, and due to our financial situation, I had to take out student loans to get through college." That sounds tough. It would have been okay if I just had my student loans to pay off, but my sister, who's 10 years younger, just started private college. My salary alone isn't enough to support her, so I ended up having to take on this side job. This a secret from the company. Well, I have a favor to ask in return. I had only one wish. I wanted Amanda to quit her job as a helper as soon as possible. Since we never know when the company might find out about your side job, I'd like you to stop taking new orders and come to my place once a week. You should quit this side job as soon as possible. You're expected to climb the corporate ladder, so it's not a good idea to walk on thin ice. You're right. I'm also planning to pay off my student loans by the end of this year, so I'm thinking of quitting my side job. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, I'm looking forward to working with you. She nodded and started cleaning right away. She made progress much faster than I expected, and by midday, the first floor was sparkling clean. Phew, I really wanted to clean the second floor and the storage room as well. No, this is more than enough, thank you. I thought she would leave as soon as her scheduled time was up, but Amanda headed to the kitchen. What are you doing? In exchange for keeping my secret, I'll make some meals for you. With that, Amanda made a lot of curry and other meals for me using the ingredients in my fridge. You've done so much, I feel bad. Don't worry about it. See you next week. Saying this, Amanda always went home with her usual business-like bow. The curry she made was delicious, and I was moved by the taste of homemade food after such a long time. And so, a strange relationship began between me and Amanda. Thanks to Amanda cleaning up efficiently every week, the house started to look cleaner and cleaner. Quite a lot of caregiving supplies here, aren't there? She seemed surprised when new diapers appeared from the storage. Yeah, they're leftovers from when I was taking care of my old man. Michael, were you doing caregiving at your own home? I told her about how my father was actually suffering from a serious illness and how, despite getting help from a professional caregiver, there were times when I had to step in when the arrangements couldn't keep up, so I couldn't attend company events. Upon hearing this, Amanda fell silent immediately. Maybe I had made her uncomfortable again. I was worried about what to do, but then, as always, Amanda cooked for me. Tonight's menu was gratin and salad, and as always, the food was professionally done. Amanda, thanks for today, and I misunderstood you, Michael. I was taken aback by her unexpected words. Upon closer inspection, her eyes were teary. What's wrong, Amanda? Despite being so busy with caregiving that you couldn't even join golf games, I had been rude to you without knowing any of these circumstances. I'm just so ashamed. As she started crying her eyes out, I got flustered. I never thought I would see this cool woman cry. Calm down, Amanda. Let's sit down and have some tea first. After drinking some tea, she seemed to have calmed down considerably. You see, I'm small and look younger than I am, right? I often get underestimated because of it, so I was acting tough. I was even rude to you, Michael. I was so naive. From Amanda, who was tearfully speaking her mind, I could sense her honest and innocent personality. That was when I realized that I had misunderstood her as well. Sure, it's rare for someone as young as you to become an assistant manager, but you don't need to be so tense all the time. Everyone knows how good you are at your job. Is that so? Yeah, so relax. I know it's hard to take advice from someone like me, an assistant manager at this age. Oh, would you like to have dinner together, Amanda? I proposed out of desperation to lighten the mood, and to my surprise, she accepted. Yes, I would love to join you. Whether it was a case of every cloud has a silver lining, we enjoyed our meal while chatting. I never dreamed we would become this close. After finishing dinner, when it was time for her to go home, Amanda again apologized for her past rudeness and bowed her head many times. "It's okay. Don't worry about it. The past is not what matters. It's the future." "Thank you." Amanda gave me the bright smile as she was leaving. Needless to say, my heart skipped a beat. From that day on, Amanda had a softer atmosphere about her at the office. She used to be rather aloof, but she started responding with a gentle smile. Seeing this change in Amanda surprised the other employees. Amanda seems to have suddenly become kinder, hasn't she? According to Amanda, the stress of having multiple jobs had been getting to her. But recently, during our meals together, she started consulting with me about her work. It seems that Amanda is applying our conversations for her own learning, and she said, "Talking about it made me feel refreshed." Perhaps the stress relief brought some ease to her mind. Well, whatever it is, it's good. Do you think she's got a boyfriend or something? I wouldn't know. At John's words, I was taken aback. I feel I'm not a match for a promising woman like her. The moment I confronted this reality, I felt my mood darken. Before I knew it, while I was spending time with Amanda, I began to feel a special feeling. I think I was just a work colleague for Amanda. I might need to put some distance between us before my feelings for her get any stronger. A later event solidified this resolve. One day, John and I went out for lunch, and he started a conversation as if he suddenly remembered something. "Yeah, right. Lucas said something strange at a drinking party with his classmates the other day." Lucas said something. Yes, Lucas happened to pass by Michael's house on his way home from a drinking party with a friend, and a woman who looked like Amanda in an apron walked into Michael's house. Lucas was also drunk, so everyone was laughing because they thought they had seen it wrong. John laughed it off, but I was panic-stricken. The event I dreaded had finally happened. Right now, the story is still misunderstood, but we don't know when the truth will be revealed. In the day someone suspects a romantic relationship between an old man like me and Amanda, that would be truly pitiful for her. I decided to confront the situation, and on the following weekend, I told Amanda, "I'd like this to be the last time you come over." She seemed utterly puzzled by my words. "Did I do something to upset you?" "Absolutely not. On the contrary, you did an excellent job, Amanda. The thing is, it seems our story is making rounds at the office." "Our story?" "Yes, it's just an unconfirmed rumor for now, but you never know when the cat will be out of the bag, so I think it might be safer for you to quit the side job at this point. But I think with this much, you'll probably have about a year's worth of salary." Saying this, I handed her an envelope full of cash. "I can't accept more money than I've worked for." "It's okay. You see, this is the money I got from selling the unwanted items that you helped clean out from the storage." "Yes. We found a lot of items, such as jewelry my mother used to wear and bottles of foreign liquor from the storage. Thanks to Amanda's thorough cleaning, I was able to sell these at the recycle shop and make some money." Amanda stood silently, staring at the envelope. "Besides, a promising lady like you shouldn't be spending time with an old guy like me. Let's use this chance to get back to how things were." Pardon, I don't want that." Amanda, tears in her eyes, rushed into my arms. This was the first time I was ever embraced by a woman in my life. But the surprises didn't end there. "Amanda, I love you, Michael." My mind went blank at Amanda's confession. Why would an exceptional beauty like her falls in love with a dull old man like me? Why would you like someone like me? "Because, Michael, you always worry about me, even though I can be rude. And you always lend me your ear when I need to talk. Even if I quit the side job, I don't want to lose my time with you, Michael. I want to be by your side. Always. I never thought that she had such feelings for me. I opened my mouth slowly as I savored this moment of happiness. Thank you. I actually like you too, Amanda. I thought I should distance myself from you for your own good. But if you feel this way, I too want to be with you. Michael. We held each other tightly. Without saying any more, we were filled with happiness as we recognized our love for each other. We thought everything was resolved and breathed a sigh of relief, but a few days later, we were both called in by the company's boss. As we nervously made our way to the boss's office, he threw a question at us. I overheard rumors about you two. I wouldn't have interfered if that was it, but someone made an anonymous accusation about Amanda's side job as a home helper. I thought that Michael knew something about this matter, so I called you to my office. Michael and Amanda exchanged glances at the boss's words. I had heard a story about Amanda getting into trouble for stealing clients from her colleagues in the past. Perhaps this anonymous accusation could be the work of someone harboring resentment against her. Seemingly understanding there was no use in trying to lie her way out, Amanda admitted to her side job. Yes, you're right. I have been having a side job, she confessed. So, but why? Someone as talented as you, Amanda. She didn't take on the side job for personal gain. She did it out of financial necessity. Also, I bear responsibility as I knew about it and requested her services. Please, punish me as well. Michael. The boss paused for a moment to think, then spoke up. Actually, unlike the previous boss, I'm actually okay with employees having side jobs. I realize there are situations like Amanda's, and I've been thinking about revising the company rules. Of course, you won't get off scot-free. I'm going to need written apologies from both of you, but there will be no further disciplinary actions, and I have no intention of leaking this. I expect both of you to continue working hard. Boss. Thank you so much, boss. Thanks to the boss's generosity, all we had to do was submit written apologies. The current boss had been in his position for about a year, and this situation made me deeply understand why he became the boss. Since then, Amanda formally quit her side job and devoted herself more than ever to her work. And an unbelievable event occurred a year into my relationship with her. I received an appointment from the boss to become a department manager. Me, a department manager? Yes, the previous boss seemed to value networking at parties and such, but I think personal character and job performance are far more important. You are a more outstanding and thoughtful talent than you believe you are. Thank you, sir. At the boss's words, tears welled up in my eyes. I had thought promotion was far beyond my reach, and never dreamed that I could be appreciated by someone in this way. On the way home that day, I bought a bouquet of roses and a ring for dinner with Amanda. Will you marry me? Now that I had gained confidence in myself, that's what I wanted to tell her. How was that? Your subscription to the channel will be a great motivation for our production. See you in the next video. John, please, just once is enough. Her eyes moistened. When my first love begged me like that, I couldn't turn her down. All right, but I have to warn you, I'm not experienced in this sort of thing. I might not do it well. It's the truth. For the entire 32 years of my life, I have had absolutely no experience in love. Who would have thought, a guy like me, being asked to take on such a big task by the stunningly beautiful Emma? My name is John Miller. I'm a single man turning 32 this year. Right after graduating from university, I started working for a medical device manufacturer, where I'm still employed. I've always been good with computers, so I wanted to utilize those skills at work. However, recently, I was transferred from an administrative position to sales. According to my boss, it's good to have experience in various departments, but frankly, I wasn't happy about it. I've never been good at socializing, and I felt I could perform better in an administrative role. Honestly, I think this job change completely ignored the principle of right person in the right place. Plus, there's a male coworker named Alex in the same department who always seems to have it in for me, making the environment extremely uncomfortable. John, you're really useless. Your sales performance won't improve if you keep that gloomy face, Alex would say, scoffing at me. Alex, who is highly educated and handsome, is consistently a top performer in sales. Haha, I'm trying my best, but it's not going well. Sales is simple. Just keep talking, and you'll sell. I really can't understand why you can't do such a simple thing, he said, laughing at me. Alex even has a certified public accountant qualification and is truly an excellent talent. Everyone agrees that if things continue this way, Alex will become a company executive in the future. In contrast, I haven't been able to achieve good results in the department I was assigned to, and it's depressing to think about why there's such a big difference between us, even though we're the same age. Feeling more down than I expected, I decided to visit the municipal library on my next day off. It's been a while since I came here. This library was a special place where I used to spend a lot of time when I was in elementary school. The wooden building is old, but it has a deep charm, and it made me reminisce about the past. I made many memories in this municipal library with my first love. In third grade, I was surprised when my hand touched a girl's as I was trying to pick up a book in this library. It seems we were trying to pick up the same book at the same time. The girl was Emma, who had just transferred to my class. So I was even more surprised. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's my fault, but I was surprised. I didn't expect to meet you here, John. Me neither. I rarely see other classmates in this library. As we were talking, a librarian who was passing by looked at us. If we continue to chat in the library, we might get told off. Thinking this, I decided to invite Emma to go outside. Normally, I wouldn't feel like this, but I wanted to talk more. I was worried if she might refuse, but Emma gave me a gentle smile and said, sure. So we sat on a bench outside the library. Feeling like this was a bit like a date and made my heart pound, but that's a secret. Emma confided in me. Honestly, I don't really want to go to school. Why? Well, I'm overweight, right? I was bullied at my previous school because of that, and even now, I don't have anyone I can call a friend. I sympathized with Emma's story. I'm also not good at communication and don't have many friends. Me too. I honestly find it hard to go to school. This is the first time I've been able to talk honestly with someone like this, so I'm kind of happy. When I said this, Emma said, me too. Looking back now, I think that was the moment a friendship was born between us. And so, we naturally became friends and met frequently at the local public library. We certainly had conversations at school, but if we were too close there, we risked becoming the target of teasing, with people saying, "Are those two dating?" We both wanted to avoid that, so we kept a certain distance from each other. Over time, Emma also made a few female friends. Her modest and gentle nature probably made the other girls feel close to her. I'm really glad Emma made friends. For some reason, even though it wasn't about me, I was happy to see Emma enjoying herself. When we first met, we were both too young to understand the concept of love, but as the grades went on, I began to realize that my feelings for Emma were special. Emma and I have the same taste in books, and just talking to her is a real joy. Even though I was full of complexes and often felt suffocated in school life, The time I spent with Emma gave me the energy to live. I hope this time will continue forever. That was my strong wish, but when we became middle schoolers, that dream was sadly shattered. In fact, 2 changes occurred for Emma and me when we entered middle school. The first one was that we, who had always been in the same class, were separated when we entered middle school. Because the class composition remained the same for the 3 years of middle school, we've grown apart. The other change, to the surprise of both me and those around me, was that Emma had transformed into a very beautiful girl upon entering middle school. She had been a bit chubby until then, but she became slender all at once, and even the boys who had not noticed her charm before began to make a fuss over her. Isn't Emma just the cutest? She's also top of the class. I really admire her. Watching Emma become the object of everyone's affection, I had mixed feelings. I'd always thought Emma was cute, even when she was chubby. She'd always been self-conscious about it, so seeing her gain confidence was a good thing. However, seeing Emma becoming more popular, more unattainable, I was hit with the fear that our time together was coming to an end. Sure enough, when we got to middle school, the studies got tougher, and with the added pressure of extracurricular activities, we both became busier. The frequent visits to the public library that we used to enjoy in elementary school became a thing of the past. But still, we managed to arrange a meeting at the public library and had a great time. We haven't had much time to hang out since starting middle school, have we? Yeah, and we're not even in the same class anymore. It feels weird. But we should try and come back here when we have some time. With those words, Emma gave me a warm smile. Our friendship was forever. I felt relieved thinking that, but soon enough, my feelings were shattered. John, can I talk to you for a sec? One day during break, I was suddenly called out by a guy in my class named Jack, which surprised me. Jack was good-looking, the ace of the soccer team, and one of the top guys in the school's social hierarchy. What could he possibly want with me? As Jack led me behind the school building, he suddenly grabbed me by the collar. Confused and not knowing what was happening, Jack spoke to me in a harsh tone. "You've been hanging around the public library waiting for Emma, huh? I've got my eye on her, so don't try anything funny." Listening to Jack's words, I was shocked. It seemed someone had seen Emma and me meeting at the public library. I tried to defend myself, but Jack was not in a mood to listen. "Do you really think someone like Emma would give a guy like you the time of day? Know your place, man." With that, Jack let me go, and I fell to the ground. Jack walked away as if nothing had happened. I was left sitting there, stunned and shocked by what had just happened. A school hero like Jack was interested in Emma. In such a situation, it felt absurd for me to ask Emma for friendship. Emma was always kind to me, but I couldn't help but deep down she may have been annoyed. That night, I cried myself to sleep, my mind filled with thoughts. From then on, I stopped trying to interact with Emma. I used to pass by Emma's classroom, go to the public library whenever I could, but I stopped all that to keep my distance from her. The school was full of students, so naturally, the interaction between Emma and me decreased dramatically. We passed each other in the hallway from time to time, but we stopped greeting each other. Although I felt lonely, I accepted the situation. Emma's father was a practicing doctor, and she was a true lady and the school's princess. There was no way she and I could ever be together. If that's the case, it's better to give up before my feelings of affection become any stronger. And so, my first love quietly came to an end. Since then, I never dated any woman. Heck, I didn't even fall in love with anyone else. I grew older, all the while remaining utterly unacquainted with love. Still, it's undeniable that even now, I can't forget my gentle feelings for Emma. People might laugh at me for still carrying that adolescent crush from middle school. But the feelings I never expressed and kept sealed away never faded in me even as I became an adult. With these bittersweet memories of Emma, I decided to visit the city library, where an unexpected event occurred. Shockingly, Emma was at the library. Our eyes met, and we froze for a moment. Neither of us ever expected to reunite in such a place, even though I thought I would never see her again. 17 years since our last meeting, Emma had become even more beautiful. While I was still frozen in surprise, Emma slowly approached and began to speak. You're John, right? Yes, I am. What a surprise, meeting here. Me too. Should we change places? Everyone is kind of paying attention to us. Just as Emma said. Other library patrons were staring at us because we looked so surprised. And so, we decided to talk outside. Somehow, this felt nostalgic. I ended up having tea with Emma at a nearby coffee shop. I never thought I'd be having a one-on-one conversation with Emma. As we were chatting, suddenly Emma started with a troubled expression. I think I can ask John. You see, I'm being forced into marriage. What? I'm currently working as a nurse at my father's clinic, and a supplier who visits there regularly has been making a pass at me. My father, seeing me single and without a boyfriend, is insisting that I should marry the supplier, but I absolutely don't want to. That sounds tough. So, John, please, pretend to be my boyfriend just once. What? I was surprised by Emma's unexpected proposal. Who would have thought I'd be asked to play the role of Emma's boyfriend? When I was trying to reject the man's proposal, I impulsively lied that I have a boyfriend. But he's so insistent and wants to meet the boyfriend. Even my father is telling me to introduce him. I'm really in trouble. But, John, please, just once. Looking into her moist eyes, I couldn't refuse my first love's request. I get it, but I don't have much experience with this, so I might not be good at it. Thank you. If you're sitting next to me, it's fine. I'll do all the explaining to him. And so, I ended up agreeing to play the role of Emma's boyfriend the following Sunday. The venue was the lounge of a hotel, where the man who proposed to Emma was supposed to come. As I was ironing my shirt to wear to the lounge, I had mixed feelings. I was happy to reunite with Emma and happy that she rallied on me. But I wondered why such a beauty like her is single and not dating anyone. If Emma were as beautiful as she is, she should have many other male friends, so why did she choose me? I spent the day with these questions in my heart, but there was another twist waiting for me. Surprisingly, the person who showed up at the lounge with Emma was my colleague, Alex. Why is John here? Even Alex looked surprised and turned to me. Could it be that you two know each other? Know each other? This guy's my colleague. Saying so, Alex glared at me. Even as we faced each other in the lounge, Alex didn't bother to hide his irritation and was quite dismissive. Why did you, Emma, end up dating John? Actually, we're old childhood friends. That's how we naturally started dating. That's suspicious. I work with John, but I never saw any signs of him having a girlfriend. Alex said, looking at us suspiciously. Emma made up a story, but it seemed like Alex saw right through it. Could it be, Emma, you wanted to turn down my proposal, so you asked John for help? No, that's not true. But you two, despite supposedly being lovers, are distant. No matter how I look at it, you don't match. Upon hearing Alex's words, old memories flashed back. During middle school, the words showered by Jack echoed in my mind. Emma is a lady, very beautiful, but John is a complete loser. No matter how I see it, there is no way Emma could love John. Stop putting him down any further. Not expecting Emma to raise her voice, Alex and I were surprised and looked at her. Emma's cheeks reddened, her eyes watered, and she trembled. "Alex, John is a wonderful man, more than you think. I love John, and I won't allow anyone to insult him, even if it's just acting." To think Emma would defend me. While I was touched, Alex opened his mouth, looking uncomfortable. "Got it, Emma. I'll give up on you. You two, enjoy yourselves." Saying that, Alex got up from his seat with a displeased look and left the lounge with incredible speed. As Emma still had tears in her eyes, I suggested we leave as well and decided to let her cool down in a nearby park. I sat her down on a bench and handed her a handkerchief. "Emma, thanks for defending me. That was quite the performance." "It wasn't an act." Surprised by her words, my eyes widened and Emma began to speak. I've always liked John since long ago. When we got to middle school, I felt like I was being avoided, so I thought I had to give up. But I couldn't like anyone else but John. The reason I asked you to act as my boyfriend this time is because I really wanted to be connected with you in some way." Upon hearing Emma's words, I was struck with a huge shock. Could it be that Emma felt the same way about me? I decided now was the time to tell her how I really felt, and I opened my mouth. "I'm sorry, Emma, for avoiding you, but truth is, I've always had feelings for you." "But why did you avoid me, then?" "Because you became so beautiful, I thought I wasn't good enough." "That doesn't matter. You were the only one who was kind to me even when I was overweight. Actually, I started dieting because I wanted you, John, to like me." 17 years passed since that misunderstanding, but it was now cleared up all at once. We laughed together, and before we knew it, we were in a strong embrace. It was a passionate embrace that seemed to fill the 17-year gap. "I won't ever let you go, Emma." "Thank you. We've had a big misunderstanding, haven't we?" "Yes, but don't worry. We have much more time ahead of us." That's how we officially started dating and got married a year later. I quit my job on this occasion and started working in the administration department at Emma's family hospital. Emma's dad congratulated us on our marriage. When we got married, I had a conversation like this with Emma's dad. "I can trust you, John, to take care of Emma. Thank you." After losing my wife and having to raise Emma by myself, I felt quite rushed. I once recommended she marry Alex, who used to visit us often, but I guess I need to be more discerning. I never expected him to get fired. That's right. Alex, after being turned down by Emma either out of desperation or recklessness, approached many women at his other clients, which led to numerous complaints, and he ended up losing his job. The important thing is not how others see you, but how you two feel about each other. You and Emma truly love each other, so I'm sure you'll make a good couple. I think so too. Because we're not connected by appearances or status. We're deeply connected by our inner selves. That's why, no matter what happens, I'm confident I will always love this woman who was my first love.